Procrastination is one of the most frustrating things you can do because you feel the time slipping away and you know it's all your fault. That then leads to shame, it leads to regret and just pure pain about knowing that you have certain potential and you can do certain things and the opportunities out there, and the only reason you're not doing them is because you personally didn't take action. It is so painful. And I've coached hundreds of Muslim men on their business, on their life, to help them achieve their biggest goals. And the biggest problem they had is not taking action, it's procrastination. By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how you can beat procrastination and what you can achieve if you use the right system to overcome it and take aggressive action on your biggest goals in life. This is about showing you what's possible when you follow certain clear steps in a system. It all starts with the problem of overestimating what you can achieve in a week or a month. You know those people that say, yeah, I'm just gonna go all in. I'm gonna lock in this month and achieve this and that. And they underestimate what they can achieve in a year. And a year feels like a long time. It's a lot to commit. It's a lot to dedicate to one thing for 1 year. But they really underestimate how much change in your entire lifespan 1 year can make if you make use of it properly. Right now, there are people less intelligent, less hardworking, with less iman, less tawakkul, less dua than you, but they're achieving more. Why is that? It's because they work in cycles, they have clear action plans, they know specifically what they're doing and why they're doing it. They have coaching either in a formal way or informally. They have friends around them that are good at coaching them, and they have accountability. Either formally, they have an accountability coach or partner, or they have an accountability culture and environment around them that's pushing them to their own goals. So if you want to achieve big goals like starting a business, getting your freelance career off the ground, learning Arabic to understand the Quran, or getting in the greatest shape of your life, then buckle in, because I'm going to explain to you what you can achieve in these areas of your life if you use what I call the Brotherhood Action Protocol. Because if you're nearly 30 or over 30, you know how short 1 year is. And if you could achieve a huge goal in that time, it would be fully worth it. It would actually be a small investment to achieve one of your biggest life goals. So let's get started. Bismillah. The first truth that we have to swallow in the form of a bitter pill is that we don't lack resources, tools, ideas. We lack focus and execution. That is the only thing we are missing. When you don't have clear priorities and you know exactly what you're trying to achieve, when you're trying to achieve it by, and you have clear systems in place to make sure you achieve it, as well as accountability, then it's not surprising you don't achieve it, especially in today's distracted world with so many different responsibilities flying around us. These big goals like starting a business or getting in the best shape of our lives, they feel overwhelming, and so we procrastinate on them. But they don't have to be like that. The big solution that helps you really focus and hone in and finally go all in on a certain goal and make real progress in it is to work in cycles. What do I mean? 90-day cycles. Not too long, so it feels like it's really far away, the deadline's far away, or I'll do it later. And not too short, so that you don't make much progress in that time and you feel demotivated. 90 days is the perfect window to lock in, make a plan, and make significant progress on a goal. So the main framework here is to break your year into 90-day cycles, 4 of them. With 4 90-day cycles, you can make significant progress on 4 goals every single year. Now think about what that could mean. I would suggest if you want to start a business, 2 of those goals could be business related, especially at the beginning of business. It will take a lot to get it off the ground. And so you could start a business and start making regular income from it in those 6 months of hard focused work. And then you've got 2 whole slots left for the year. One could be focusing on getting in shape, and the other could be focused on preparing and saving for Hajj or something. So imagine at the end of the year, you've started a business, made real money, got it off the ground when you've been wanting to do that for years. You've gone to Hajj, and you're in the best shape of your life, or at least you've lost weight, gained muscle, and you're in a better place. Now imagine multiplying those kind of 4 goals across years and years of your life. The next 5 years of your life would be unrecognizable. But in order to realistically achieve those type of things, we need to implement the first step of the process of this 90-day thinking process and framework, which is defining your vision. What is your vision for your life? I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about in 10 years, 20 years, when you die, what do you want people to remember you for? What do you want the angels to remember you for? What do you want the angels to mention to Allah about you? Think about that. What's your area of passion, your area of contribution? Is it that you want to make documentaries that help in the da'wah? Do you want to make a big business that employs a lot of people and does business the right way, gives you freedom to live in a Muslim country, etc.? Do you want to start a charity, a specific charity in an area that you know you can have an impact in or that you're passionate about? What is your ultimate goal? And I know you might not know right now, but if you have some sort of general direction, it's a good start and it can always develop over time. What I find is that people who think a lot and they try and plan out their visions, they don't get very far. They get very far and they hone their vision like sharpening a sword, not by looking at the sword and trying to find the parts that are not very sharp. They sharpen their vision by actually using the sword, right? Sharpening it. And as you sharpen it, as you take action here and there, you're going to realize, okay, this fulfilled me, this didn't fulfill me. Okay, I was good with dealing with people. I'm not very good with like maths and data and stuff. I'm more of a people person. And you start to learn about yourself. You start to learn about what you're passionate about, what impact you want to have in the world. And before you know it, for example, just 1 year of doing significant things in your life, 4 significant goals, you're going to be much, much, much clearer on the vision you want for your life. And the great thing about having the vision is that you might not be able to achieve that right now. Of course, you can't achieve that right now, but it will inform you of the goals and the skills and the person that you need to become to achieve that vision. And now, guess what? The next years of your life are kind of planned out for you in terms of what you want to do, what you want to achieve. So now, based on having that vision for your life, look now at the next year of your life. What goals would you like to achieve? Like we said, you've got 2 to 4 goals that you can pick, because sometimes you're going to focus on one area of your life, maybe for 6 months, right? So that's 2 of the 4 goals taken with that one area. But sometimes you might have 4 areas of your life covered in 1 year. But the point is, what are those 2 to 4 goals that you want to achieve this year? You can start off with the general areas of life, like finances, like maybe marriage, like relationship, like contribution, like studying the deen or getting closer to Allah, like your health, like your wealth. Whatever those areas are, start with that, and then we'll get more specific and measurable eventually. So now we've got those clearly, and now we want to have 90-day focus cycles, focusing on one of those 4 goals that you've laid out for the year. And this is where you want to get very specific and very measurable. For a lot of people, they want to start with making money. They either want to make money away from their job and be able to live anywhere and all of that, which is a great goal, to be honest. That's what I did 7 years ago, and it changed my life completely and unlocked for me the ability to do other goals, like writing that book over there, right? If I had a 9-to-5 job and I was tired and I had kids and this and that, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. But because I had a business, I had extra funds, I was able to live anywhere in the world, whatever. I wrote that book, I promoted that book. Alhamdulillah, people have benefited from that book. So for a lot of people, the financial goal will be one of their first ones, which is fine to focus on. But do question that, because some people, they'll be chasing more money for their whole life, and maybe Allah just didn't write it for them. So make sure that you don't spend all of your goals for the next years purely focused on making more money. But it's definitely a good goal, no doubt about it. And of course you can achieve it if you really focus and prioritize it. And to make the goal, for example, of starting a business measurable, always think, what is the main way of measuring progress in this area of my life? For example, with memorizing Quran, the main area would be pages memorized or ajza memorized. With Arabic, it might be how many words do I know, or how many pages of a book can I read, or what percentage of a book can I read. With business, the main metric to measure success is money that you've made, sales that you've made, how much revenue have you brought in. And so I don't recommend you have a goal like start a business or build my website, get branding. No, how much money are you aiming to make? That is the definition of going straight for the kill. And that's what I recommend you do. So for example, you've never started a business before, you've never done business, this is your first time doing it. I would say in 3 months, try and make $1,000. My goal in 3 months is to make $1,000. For some people, they think that's low. For some people, they think that's, wow, scary and high. For me, it's right in the middle. And if you're good at business, if there's certain things you already understand about it, then that $1,000 could become $3,000, even if your goal was $1,000. So yes, pick what those 90-day goals are going to be for the year. You've got your 4 areas of life. Now for this 90 days starting now, what will your focus be? Make sure it's specific, make sure it's measurable. You know if you've succeeded or not with a very tangible, measurable thing, right? Black and white. Did I do that or not? So now how do we turn that 90-day plan and actually build out the plan and turn it into real action and real results? First, you want to define your goal, right? And that would be make your first $1,000 from your business. At this point, you might not even know what business you're going to start. That's fine. The first week or two of your plan is going to be researching. What's the best way to make money online according to my criteria? I want something that's like this. I'm strong at writing. I'm strong on video. I'm strong understanding systems and feedback loops. Whatever your strengths are, whatever is doing well these days in terms of business, you want to research that and find the best way towards a goal. You don't want to be a perfectionist here because, like I said, and I always say, you learn by taking action, not by just researching and thinking about it. So your first 3 months goal is to make $1,000 from scratch, from zero, from not even having a clear idea. And the first week or two will be a lot of researching, and then you'll be deciding, making your decisions in week 3, and you'll be starting on taking action. And week 3 onwards, there are certain tasks that always come up for any goal in your life that if you repeat them, you will achieve that next goal. And of course, for business, we want to take the type of actions that will get us to our goal. So we don't want to be building websites, doing branding, writing about me sections on our websites. We want to be going for the kill, going for sales, which is the actual measurable result of building a business. So that would look something like refining our messaging, researching the target customer, messaging 100 target customers a day, or making content that would attract the target customer. These are the types of things that are very sales and marketing focused, because everything we're doing is leading to that $1,000 we're trying to make. So now let's say that's your first 90 days done and you did make that sale of $1,000. Congratulations. Now, let's say you want to scale the business up more. You've got some momentum, you got some wind behind your sail. So you might now say, my next 90-day goal, I want to take this momentum and continue in the area of business. And for this one though, I already made 1,000. So I'm not going to say, okay, make another 1,000. I'm going to go to the next level because I've already done the hardest thing of making my first dollar, my first $100, my first $1,000 in the business. So now my goal is to really get this into a stable position. Maybe not full time, but maybe something like make $2,000 a month from the business. So you're going to make the shift from just making some money and breaking through the mental barriers of making any money to trying to make consistent, sustainable income. And again, the focus here is going to be a lot of sales, a lot of marketing type stuff. You're going to learn so much along the way. And maybe part of this will be reading certain books or taking certain courses. But ultimately, the action should always be heavy versus research and learning. And the action should always be sales and marketing focused so that you actually achieve your goal of $2,000 a month. Hopefully you can apply this to any other goals you might have, like getting in shape, learning Quran, learning Arabic, etc. So now you understand what you can achieve when you implement the Brotherhood Action Protocol, when you have a clear system and plan in place for not just 90 days, but for the whole year, and a vision for your life. And also it gets turbocharged when you have something like coaching. Coaching is something that a lot of Muslims especially are not familiar with the power of. But the Prophet ﷺ coached the Sahaba, and the Sahaba became the best generation of Muslims ever. And so coaching is simply somebody who is able to give you feedback on your ideas, help guide you through thought processes, make sure you're taking action on what you actually want to do, and help you overcome the mental barriers and the doubts that often come up in our head when we're chasing big goals. And the third part is having measurement, so measuring your progress, but also measuring in terms of having accountability. Accountability is the key. That's changed my life completely. And it's caused me to go from somebody who was very ambitious but average to actually being somebody who, alhamdulillah, got quite a lot of success in business, be able to live in UAE and now live in Turkey. And it's all because I had people holding me accountable and making sure I did what I said I was going to do. So that's essential for this process as well. So the Brotherhood Action Protocol, it has clear systems, coaching and accountability, and that's what you need as well. We've talked a lot about what the possibilities are if you implement these, and I promise you it will come true, inshallah. Because in 2025, the reason you're not achieving your goals is not because you're not motivated or disciplined enough. It's because there are so many distractions, there's so many opportunities, and you haven't decided and gone all in on one. And there is a system out there for distracting you and keeping you just going around in circles, and therefore you need a system to break out of that. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. Now imagine you're 6 months into the year and you've accomplished those two goals. You made your first $1,000 in the business, and now you got your business to $2,000 a month. Now, if you want to go and live somewhere cheap, like maybe Turkey, but more like Morocco or Egypt or something, or Pakistan, you can do that on $2,000. Isn't that amazing? But let's say you're staying wherever you're living, and that's a nice side business that you're gaining a lot from. Now let's move on to goal number 3 and 4 for the year. Let's say goal number 3 is to get started in your Arabic learning journey. Now, you know you're not going to become fluent in 3 months, but you also know that so many of the words in the Quran come down to just like 800 or 1,000 words. So your goal is to learn those 1,000 words in the next 90 days. That's going to give you so much progress in Arabic that you've been wishing for so many years, but never taken action on. And with this system, the Brotherhood Action Protocol, you're now memorizing and learning 1,000 key words that will help you understand the Quran, and it will get you well on your way to actually understanding and learning Arabic. Because once you have vocab, you just add a bit of grammar and you can really start to understand and even speak Arabic. So let's say you tick that off. You put yourself a goal of learning 100 words a week, which is probably about 15 words a day. And that might sound like a lot, but when you're focused on this and you have no other goals in your day other than going to work, doing your salah and stuff like that, and learning those 15 words, it becomes more doable. And so your 90 days are dedicated to making that final progress in Arabic, and you actually do it. And then you can move on to the final 3 months of the year, the final 90-day period, which is to lose a bit of weight. You know, after you graduated from uni and you stopped playing so many sports and you got busy with family and this and that, you start to put on a bit of weight, and you've not become really fat or anything, but it's not the way you used to be and you're not comfortable with it, and you want to nip it in the bud before you get older and maybe you keep putting on a bit of weight. So you decide that you're going to focus on your health for the next 90 days, lose a bit of weight, get in better shape, better energy levels, feel good about yourself, look in the mirror and respect yourself a little bit more. So you follow the same process. You put a clear system and plan in place, a clear, measurable and specific goal. You get coaching, you get accountability, and you achieve that goal. Now, 12 short months have passed since you decided to implement this protocol in your life, and you've achieved these 4 big goals. You never knew that you could do this. You always dreamed of being above average, and now you've actually become above average. Your friends are asking about it because they realize that you're not always coming out with them. You're sometimes too busy for them, and you're actually making progress. They see that you know a lot more Arabic. They see that you got a bit more money in your bank account and you're spending it. They see that you've lost a bit of weight, and that's because you prioritized, you sacrificed, and you implemented this system to get these results in your life. And the great news is that this can apply to anything other than the goals that we've discussed here, but I know those are common goals, and that's why I gave them as examples. But this protocol works for beating procrastination, taking aggressive action, and finally achieving your biggest life goals. If you want further explanation on how you can implement all elements of this and why this works, then there's a video in the description that you can check out. But otherwise, just imagine what your life can be if you implement this. And I want you to really take action here. Put a stake in the ground and say, this cannot be my life the way it's going on. I cannot stay average. When I was younger, in my 20s, early 20s, I had these dreams, I had these ambitions. Those ambitions are still inside me, but they've just been covered up by piles of procrastination. So I'm not going to let that happen anymore. I'm going to change something. And even if I don't achieve 4 big goals this year, I'm going to achieve 2, I'm going to achieve 3. But I'm going to make some sort of drastic change. See you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.